This week's best MMA bets, we're talking UFC Sao Paulo. I'm going to give you guys my lock of the week, my most confident picks on the card, favorite underdogs, prop/value bets, and then finish it out with the parlays. So make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, turn the post notifications on, and make sure to share the video as well. Currently riding a 9-week lock streak. This week, looking to push it to double digits with 10 in a row. And I'm damn excited. So without further ado, let's jump right into the lock of the week.
Fighting out of Saransk, Mordovia, Russia. Here is Renat Gladiator Fakhretdinov.
Renat Fakhretdinov, lock of the week. Now, I recognize the odds have continuously gotten worse since I've announced this as the lock and since I picked it as the lock of the week. It seems as though we're in that minus 340 range right now, which honestly sucks as far as the money line. I liked it a lot more at minus 270, but I have a strong belief that Renat Fakhretdinov is a sure winner against Alizio Zaleski, who's 38 years of age, coming off of a split decision win over Abu Bakar Nurmagomedov, who's probably the worst of the Dagestani Nurmagomedovs inside of the UFC. And I think Fakhretdinov is a perennial contender. I feel like he's an underrated guy. I mean, he's fighting in Brazil against a Brazilian, and he's got a skill set that could emerge in the upper echelon of the weight class. And I think that for whatever reason, he's not necessarily getting a major push. Unlike a Shavkat Rakhmonov or a Hamzat Chimaev or an Ikram Aliaskarov, Fakhretdinov is more slowly making his way up the ranks. Now, sure, that could be because of back-to-back decision wins in his first two UFC outings that maybe the UFC didn't get crazy excited about, but then he absolutely destroyed Kevin Lee in less than a minute. And him taking on Zaleski here, I think it's a good stylistic matchup for him. I think it's a very favorable fight. I have him getting the win. He is the lock this week, and I can already see some of the comments, damn, bro, the line is whack for this one. Hey, you know what? I can't even argue too much. The line has swelled widely, but I can't shift up the lock after I'm calling it and sticking with my gut. I've been able to hit 9 in a row, this one going 10, because I've been sticking with my gut and I haven't been changing up on my feelings. So I'm riding with Renat Fakhretdinov. Plus 200 is the decision prop. Now, I think Fakhretdinov is an essential parlay piece. I'm putting together a pretty much lock parlay at the end, so definitely tune into the parlay section. I'm going to jump from here, lock of the week with Fakhretdinov, who I do think has a fair chance for decision. I respect Zaleski a lot. Plus 200 decision, I think has a lot of potential of coming through. But the money line is the truest lock here. I see him as the significantly better grappler, and he's effective in the stand-up to succeed against Alizio Zaleski. He's a sure winner. I see it hitting 10 in a row. I know what's going to happen here. I want to jump now to the most confident pick section. We'll talk most confident picks, and then we're going to jump to the favorite underdogs after that. And I'm bringing the heat with 4 very high likelihood underdogs. We first now have 4 high confidence favorites, and this card is filled with a lot of shitty lines, unfortunately. I'll read them off quickly, and then we'll talk about each one of them. We have Jailton Almeida, who I see getting the win in the main event. We have Eduardo Mora, who I think runs over Montserrat Conejo Ruiz. We have Ismael Bonfim, who is a dynamic striker, and I think going to knock out OG Vince Pichel. And then Gabriel Bonfim in the co-main event, who's taking on a game Nicholas Dalby, who he's definitely going to win against. Now, looking at all these lines, we can agree they're not optimal. We have Jailton Almeida at minus 500. We have Eduardo Mora at minus 600. Bonfim minus 465. The other Bonfim, Gabriel Bonfim, minus 600. Even wider. So we have very wide lines amongst the highest of confident favorites. I see them all as winners in the fights. Jailton Almeida is going to get Derek Lewis to the ground, and he's going to submit him. Sub prop is minus 140. That sub prop is incredibly live, and I think there's a high chance he does submit Derek Lewis. Now, would it be insane if he mounted him, dropped ground and pound, Lewis turned his back and got a rear naked from there? I don't think so. Could he end up getting a TKO on the ground? Maybe, but sub's calling my name. Mara to win, I think she's going to get a first round sub. She's plus 165 to win by submission here against Montserrat Conejo Ruiz, who lacks a wide range of tools. She's got decent enough wrestling. If she can out physicality girls, out muscle them, she can win. She's not going to do that with Mora. She's going to get destroyed. It's going to be dominance. I like the sub prop a lot at plus 165 there. I think she's running her over. Ismail Bonfim, now, minus 465 sucks, but he's fighting 41-year-old Vince Pichel. Bonfim by knockout is plus 200. I think he's sleeping Pichel. I think he's getting an emphatic KO, and I feel like people are kind of writing him off slightly. Definitely not the bookies, but some maybe going for the OG Pichel. Because of his loss to Benoit Saint-Denis, who's a perennial contender now, who's coming off of a big win over Thiago Moises and is fighting Matt Frivola in what's a massive fight at UFC 295. I think Bonfim's going to outstrike Pichel and knock him unconscious. And Gabriel Bonfim, the brother Bonfim, I think the one with the higher ceiling in the fight game, and a future contender, Brazilian, I think welterweight problem, minus 600. The sub is plus 125. I do think he's going to finish. Nicholas Dalby, who's notoriously hard to finish, was only finished once in a no-contest loss to Jesse Ronson, who was on steroids. But I think Bonfim could hurt him on the feet and submit him too. And I predict that he's going to do that. I believe in the Bonfim hype train, specifically Gabriel Bonfim. Ismail Bonfim is a dynamic kickboxer and a fun style for sure. But I think Gabriel Bonfim has the potential to be a top 10 welterweight in the world in the coming years. So Bonfim brothers, Mora, Almeida, those are all high-ass confidence. But you probably are not as intrigued by those odds. If you're prop chasing, sure, you like those ones. But if you're looking for straight money line onslaught, you don't want to just parlay it up, we'll jump now to the favorite underdogs section here, which I think I have 4 tremendous underdogs. We have Angela Hill, who's a plus 120 dog. I think she's going to beat Denise Gomes. I'm not sold on Gomes beating the OG Angela Hill. We have Abbas Magomedov, around plus 250. Kyle Borralho is a tremendous grappler with karate-esque stand-up, but everybody's forgetting Magomedov was coming into the UFC with a ton of hype, and he's coming off a loss to the world champion. Victor Hugo at plus 205. I think that the odds were crazy wide when they were announced. I picked that fight pre-odds, and I thought that Hugo would be a slight underdog here. I didn't anticipate plus 200 or more. I think he's an extremely skilled fighter with a grappling advantage over Daniel Marcos that he can exploit. And we're in Brazil. Sure, he took it on short notice, but he was Contender Series camp, fighting Contender Series, and now jumping into this one. That's how you become something in this game. You got to take those short notice tests, and I think he's going to shine. And then Armin Petrosyan over a one-dimensional Rodolfo Viera. I think Petrosyan's going to win by knockout. He's minus 105. Close money dog. I think he's a tremendous attack. Money line straight. KO's plus 235 for Petrosyan. Hugo by sub plus 325. Magomedov, I would just lean towards the money line here on that one. If you're looking to attack the plus 250, I see him as a good money line dog. Trying to chase the prop, like I think he can win by decision, but he has the power for a knockout. I'll read both off. Knockout win for Magomedov sits at plus 325 with a decision all the way up at plus 600. Then you're chasing the big plus money for sure. But I think that Abus Magomedov straight money line onslaught is the A side. I'd say that it's probably the best side. And then Angela Hill to win, I would just touch the money line at plus 120. Decision prop is plus 125. Doesn't make any sense for 5 more points to throw a decision prop. I mean, realistically, she's probably winning by decision. But what happens if she gets a DQ win? Then you're pissed. Decision, not worth touching. But over 2.5 rounds, minus 300. Maybe as a parlay piece for some of you guys. I think there's a real chance that she goes distance with the heavy-handed Denise Gomes. But it's not like Angela Hill's ever getting laid out. She's not been knocked out as a pro. She has a notoriously good chin. She takes incredible shots and continues to move forward. I think Angela Hill is a nightmare for Denise Gomes. I think that this is the hardest fight of Gomes' career, period. She has a loss like a year ago to Loma Lukbume, who, yes, Angela Hill beat. MMA math doesn't matter. Styles make the fights, but I think it's still a factor here. I think there's some really good straight money line underdog attacks. I love all these 4. Victor Hugo, I placed a bet on him last week, money line. I think that plus 205 is way too wide for the possibility of him beating the game Daniel Marcos. Angela Hill, close money dog. I love the plus 120. Petrosyan, I love the near even money at minus 105, an ever so slight dog. Magomedov, I will say, of the slate is probably my most worrisome for the fact that I have to look at the red flag, which is him pretty much breaking in the second round against Sean Strickland. Now I anticipate this fight to go better than that, and I can believe that there was a lapse in the mental state in that matchup, and I recognize he's fighting the world champion who beat up Adesanya, and we have to give Magomedov some respect. He did win the first round over Sean Strickland. I think that's a positive factor coming into this Kyle Borralho fight if we're digging for positives. Those right there are my favorite underdogs. There's a great list of them. I do want to jump to the props/value bet section. And let's look at some things here. Let's check them out. Okay, so I'm looking at this. This is my mentality. We have Mark Jacasey. I think he can get a hard-fought decision win. The decision for him sits at plus 140. The over 2.5 is minus 165. Both I think are possible. Jacasey, I think, is going to outmuscle Fernandez late. I think the gas tank favors Jacasey. He's going to be able to win a decision in this fight. Then looking at Petrino, I expect a ground and pound stoppage for him. I do think we go under 2.5, which is minus 143. And then Petrino to win via KO is plus 225. I think Petrino beats Bukauskas. I would say Petrino's a high confidence pick. He wasn't in the section because in the section I try to throw top tier confidence regardless of lines. But he would be right there on the tail end of making it. You can definitely put him in that lineup. I think he's got a real good chance to win, and I think he's probably getting a KO victory in what should be an interesting fight. Those right there are the props that I like, the over-unders that I like, that are outside of what I've already talked about for this card. I want to jump to the fame section, the fan favorite section, my favorite section, the parlays, all right? We got to parlay some things up. So I told you guys I was going to drop a lock parlay, so it would be Rinat Fakhretdinov with the side of Jailton Jr. Let's find them. Here is Jailton. You got minus 179. Sure, it's not juicy plus money, but it's two fighters that I see getting wins that are going to give you a nice little tag. That's nice to look at. Very nice to look at. If you want to add more, go with the ladies fight. You went Eduardo Mora. Now you're at almost even money, minus 117. I think these three get victories as well. Now, if you're chasing the most confident picks, you want to stick with that lineup and continue to add from there. Bonfim is an ugly line, but it does bring you in the plus money zone. If you go with another Bonfim brother, now you got plus 163. The steam is starting to really flow here. So we have 4 high confidence calls. Rinat Fakhretdinov, lock of the week. And then I'm going to add in the side of Angela Hill right here at plus 463. Now big money's coming my way. And then I'm looking to add more to the slate, and I'm thinking, you know what? Let me put Victor Hugo in my lineup, plus 1590 for this one. I think this probably happens too. Plus 1590, it's live to come through for sure here. There's going to be some favorites that win on this card, but there's some damn barking underdogs. Some savage dogs. And if you had Petrosyan as well, now you got plus 3,200. Now you're going for Mystic Mac territory. But hey, it's not impossible. It could happen. I guess we don't have the over available there. I don't want to just add Jacasey straight money line. If I had to add another money line, I think I'd prefer to go the way kind of Petrino's raw skill is the only thing that worries me, but his freak physicality sells me. Plus 4,849. Now we're in wild man territory. I want to give you something else. So I want to give you an alternate. I want to give you something different. If you went with Angela Hill, and then you went with the side of Jailton Almeida. I mean, that adds a lot of steam to your Jailton Almeida pick. You got now plus 160. And I do believe these two have a real chance of coming through. I feel like Angela Hill's being slept on. I like her as a money line better. I think money line Angela Hill would be the ultimate tier, would be your best move. But if you want to parlay and spice it up, understandably, you go Mora and Hill, plus 155. It's not terrible. I hate the minus 500s, but there's still picks. There's still high confidence. Hugo, early on, plus 200. Loaded up with the lock. Renat Fakhretdinov, and then throwing in the side of Jailton Almeida. This right here could be a risky little addition, but Hugo I do think has a good chance of coming through, which is why I bet him last week. Plus 368 for this one. Armen Petrosyan, minus 105. Now you got plus 813. Now you got big fucking plus territory. Now we're in a beautiful spot. Then we end up making the same one that we already made before. I would say be cautious with your bets, but there's some good ways that you can line things up. Obviously, Jailton Almeida, super confident call. Renat Fakhretdinov, lock of the week. And then adding more from the most confident pick section, sprinkled with the dog sides of things. I think all the dogs are very live to win. I would say straight up, the biggest concern would be Magomedov, just potentially gassing. That's my biggest concern. Out of all the dogs of the four, that one brings me a little more worry than the rest. I think the other ones are going to bring heat throughout the whole 15 minutes and potentially get finishes in their fights. I think there's some good ways to parlay it, guys. I wouldn't go too ballistic unless you're looking at just light sprinkle and then throw something at a lottery ticket. But if you're looking to attack heavy, you have a 2 or 3 fighter parlay that has some possibility to come through. And if I want to go kind of go smooth and mix it up like an alternate, you're at near even money with Renat and Petrino. And then if you added in the likes of the side of Victor Hugo, now you got plus 479. Hugo's got a real good chance to win. I really believe that he's going to get it done. Plus 313 for her. Plus 175, Renat Fakhretdinov, Angela Hill. And the side of Jailton Almeida. This is a good one too. Plus 234. I think it hits. Be cautious with your bets. Be intelligent. That is what I'm thinking this week. I got a lot more content dropping. The Late Night Live, which is coming out tomorrow. It'll feature the new breakdown of the Kainan Krucheski fight versus Elvis Brenner. I'm looking forward to talking about that matchup on that Late Night Live tomorrow. Hearing what the people's takes are, too, on every fight on the card. Smash the likes here. If you guys are new, subscribe to the channel with the post notifications turned on. I appreciate everybody tuning into the show. Let's keep this success train rolling. We're about to get 10 locks in a row. Drop a W in the chat if you enjoy the content to boost the algorithm for your boy. Definitely let me know, guys. Drop some of your favorite picks on the card, your lock of the week, your favorite underdogs. Throw me some props / value bets and parlays that you guys are thinking about. I appreciate you all watching. I appreciate the consistent support. Much love to each and every one of you. And I will see you all in the next one. Peace, everybody.